Good evening. This is Logan here on the YouTube channel. I came on here today to talk about something that I just need to get off my chest. Something that I don't really have anyone to talk to about, so I'm just gonna yap and then post it as a video. And hopefully some people can relate to this. The feeling of love can be a really good thing and a really bad thing, right? It can either be really good, as in you're dating someone or you're friends with people that you love, and you love your family in a very happy way. But there's also a side of love that's very self-destructive if you let it get to that point. And I think I let it get to that point. I'm not happy to say that, but I'm not proud of it, but it's good to finally admit to it. When I have feelings towards anyone, whether I see them as a potential lover or even a friendship I like a lot, I do everything in my power to pursue that, to the point where I'll get annoying and I'll annoy the shit out of people I'm talking to, girl, guy, friendship, relationship, whatever. I get to a point where I over consume, or I try to, and it's not very healthy doing it. It's not very it's very self-destructive, and I hate it because it's like you end up relying on this person or this thing you love so much to the point where if you don't do this thing or you don't talk to that person constantly, you feel fucking terrible. Attachment issues at its finest, right there. If you love something or love someone very deeply, whether it's a hobby, it's listening to music, doing drugs, or hooking up with people, or just hanging out with friends in general that you really love. There's a lot of things that you can be over obsessive about in life. And the thing I think I've struggled with has been two things, especially the the over obsessiveness of trying to be the best version of myself I can. And that sounds like a good thing in the mix, but when you push yourself to a limit just because you want to prove to yourself that you're someone or that you're something, just because you want to do anything possible to make this thing, to make it work, it becomes a self-destructive behavior. Even if it's something that is productive, too much of anything is bad. There's a level of anything that you consume, anything that you do, that once it gets to a certain point, it is a bad thing. You can consume, here's a good example. We need water to survive. But on the contrary of that, if you drink too much of this, if you consume too much, you're going to die from water poisoning. Look at love the same way. If you love something, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's when you start letting it consume everything. You start letting it consume everything. Yourself, your hobbies. You let one thing you love, consume everything. You lose yourself. And that can be a very dangerous thing for you and all the people around you. You're going to become probably a lot more emotional, a lot more bipolar in a sense, and you're going to be very back and forth, because when this thing works out or this person gives you the attention you want, it feels great. It feels like a high almost. But when this person can't be there for you when you need them, or you can't do this thing that you really love and you're obsessed with it, and etc., you start to panic and be like, it's literally like love is a drug. Love is a drug. You can get very addicted to love, and it sucks. It sucks. I mean, I've I think there's been some moments in my life where I've been addicted to love, and I think it all just comes down to just overconsumption and also like ideologizing of people, if that makes sense. Um, I when I love something very much, when I love something very much, I'll do anything in my power to keep it or to allow it in my life still, whatever whatever it is, as long as it provides me happiness. What comes with that is a double-edged sword, because you can love something so hard to the point where it can kill you, literally or metaphorically. Um, it can mentally or physically kill you. Um, Obviously, I wasn't physically killed by anything I love, but mentally, there's been so much. There's been so much. Whether it's trying to better myself, like I said, trying to like get in shape so hard that you end up killing your mental health over it. I've done that. Obsessing over someone because you really want it to work out. You want like you want this person to date you. Um, I've had that kill me a couple times mentally, and it's always a battle with it. It's kind of an addiction, because what you get when you feel that, on the contrary, when you're actually getting what you want in that situation, it feels like the best thing in the world. But once you have that crash, and once you can't talk to that person, once you can't do that thing, even for just a few moments, if you have the attachment, it can make everything feel like the worst moment of your life. Attachment is something I struggle with a lot. And it's something I have worked on, I have gotten better, but it's still there, obviously. I don't know if I'll ever be able to completely get rid of it, but moving on from it as much as I can is the best option, obviously. And I've gotten a lot better at it, but there's still moments where I'll become very attached to something or someone, and it just destroys me. Attachment is a scary thing, and living with it can be very hard. The only way I've experienced is how to kind of at least monitor attachment is when you feel yourself getting dependent on something, whether it's a hobby, whether it's doing drugs, whether it's pornography addiction, whether it's someone you like a lot and you want to date, whether it's your friends that you love a lot. Once you start getting that attachment for that, and the first time you feel terrible because you for just a few seconds or a few minutes you can't do or be with that person or do that thing that you want to do so badly, you got to kind of look back on it and realize that this is an attachment. Attachments are not easy to deal with, because most of the times I don't think you can really choose what you get attached to. Attachment obviously can come from a lot of different things, but personally what it came from for me is really just like overall trauma. And that, like, trauma can mean a lot of different things. And I mean, like, maybe you've had abandonment issues in your past. Your mom or your dad or your grandfather, your parents, your idols weren't there for you as a kid, so you feel the need to bounce off other people to try to make you feel better. Or it could be like you just never viewed yourself as worth enough. Now, when anyone tells you that you're a great person or you're worth it and you're amazing, you don't believe it, because you become attached to the feeling of being like, no, I'm not worth it. I'm not a good person. And you'll start thinking that. But attachment is a very scary thing. There are many ways to overcome it, and it varies person by person. Attachment is really a gift and a curse, because it feels great to love something and to be attached to something most times, but when there's those times that get rough, you can't, like I said, you can't do this thing you love, you can't see that person you love, You can't see that person you're attached to. But once you can't see that person you're attached to anymore, once you can't do that hobby you love so much that you're attached to, or once you can't listen to that song that you're attached to, or eat that food you're attached to, or play that game you're attached to, do that drug you're attached to, whatever it is that you have the attachment to, whenever you're not able to do it, it's very self-destructive. And I think once I realized that, I started to step back and reevaluate everything that I considered I loved. Because, and it sounds very Debbie Downer, but like, once you, if you're that attached to something, you got to kind of step back and realize, like, is this really worth it for me? Am I doing something that's healthy for me, or should I let this thing go? And I've made both decisions in my life. I've made the decision to let things go, but I've also made decisions to keep going. And whatever you make is your decision, obviously, but it's what you think's best for you. But once you're attached enough to something, you gotta sit down with yourself, talk to yourself, make a decision to either continue and move on, or try to stick with it. Personally, what's happened with me and my experiences of things I was attached to, moving on has always been the best for me, but it might be different for other people. And that's a whole nother video. But attachment sucks, and love can be hard. But there are many ways you can deal with being attached or loving something too much. And that concludes it. Whatever you're attached to, this, that, and the third, whatever it is that you're addicted / attached or love very dearly to the point where it causes you mental distress whenever you can't view or you can't do these things, maybe it's not so good. Maybe it's time to let go. And that's perfectly normal. There are things you're going to have to let go in your life. There are things you're going to have to throw down the drain, even if you wanted it so bad. Sometimes we can't always get what we want. It's a very bittersweet, double-ended sword, right? You can stab yourself one way by staying in that attachment, staying in that over-obsessiveness of that item, but the other end of the sword, you let go, you don't have that thing anymore. It is a really hard subject, but attachment, love, and anything to do with it, over obsessiveness, can be managed if you know what you need.